Peace, family. I'm back with another one. This one's going to be over the term Moor, Moros, Moriscos, Lemurian, Marvo, Morenos, different variations from different time frames of different countries on dark-skinned people and this word Moor. Before we were classified as blacks, Negroes, colors, African Americans, and etc. And so if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you're a returning viewer, I appreciate you. Like I always say, I wouldn't be able to make this content without you. If you have checked out more than one video and you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Don't be a returner and not function with the channel. You know what I'm saying? Hit that subscribe button. And so without holding y'all too much longer, we're going to jump straight into it. Peace and love, family.
On behalf of Akuno Senko for Bay, you know what I'm saying? Jay, where you at? We're trying to help our people elevate. Hope. H-O-P-E. We're giving them hope. We doing what we gotta do, you know? Every day, one step at a time, man. We're gonna make it happen. Helping our people elevate. Yeah. Sometimes I practice focus, thought, and meditate. I'm trying to come with other ways to help our people elevate and seeking knowledge, make me levitate. The lifted mental state is what results from how we orchestrate. This for the family's sake. Let's self-reflect and self-evaluate. And every day, make sure the steps you take, you calculate. Receive a master's fate. I know I can't exist without the hate, but that's okay. I balance that with higher self today. Success is on this way, and after that, my flesh can pass away.
And so we're going to start with this book, the Moabites from the Bible. Moab, the Moabites, but the Moabites who are Moors. It says the Moors are descendants of the ancient Moabites. For many years, this claim made by Prophet Noble Ali, the founder of the Moorish science movement in America, was laughed at and scoffed at. The thoughts of Moab strictly being confined to a people invented by a biblical codex writer seemed absurd and rather obscure. However, Noble Ali was not linking the people falsely called black to a biblical people. Instead, he was linking them with the historical people whom the Bible mentioned within its text. From here, the plans of them seeking racism and oppression via their Bible became clear, especially here in the Americas. This book squashes all doubt about the Moors of America and their connection to the ancient Moabites, so-called African Americans. And just so, as you know, or if you didn't know, there's a place in Utah called Moab, Utah. So you have the Moabs in the Bible, you have Moab, Utah. And I'm gonna also show you where this land is the ancient Morocco. Okay, so I went to Google and I asked Google, were Moabites black? Lot had incest with his half-Canaanite daughter who gave birth to Ammon's half-black, half-Semitic brother named Moab. The Moabites were a half-black tribe from whom Ruth, the Moabitess, in Jesus' lineage, descended as David's king grandmother to King David, to whom she married Boaz. And so just to show y'all, I said that the Moabites were half-black, half-Semitic. And so remember that, and I'll go back to this. And so you had the word the Moabite, then you had this word Mur, M-U-U-R. And the Mur, by definition, is a dark-skinned Aboriginal person belonging to any indigenous Aboriginal people throughout the planet. Refers to an inhabitant or descendant of the first civilization of Moor, also known as Lemuria. And we're going to get into the Moor or Lemuria in a little while as well. But the Murs or the Moabites, same people, dark-skinned people.
Hey everybody, this video is going to be primarily focused on Black history, and I wanted to establish the connection between the Moors and other videos on my channel on the Irish. All I want to do is get closer to some semblance of the truth, not bring anyone down. Now to begin, we're going to start with the Moors. Black history has been suppressed, and I think we could all learn from this video. The Moors are indigenous, enlightened, melanated peoples. Evidence suggests that the term Moor means more than just black people, as the Berbers are an indigenous tribe that are white with blue and green colored eyes. Contrary to popular belief, the term is not synonymous with Islamic or any specific Arab or African religion, civilization, or ethnicity. But this is the term that I'm going to be using in this presentation to refer to black people, or what we know as African American. The origin of the English term Moor is the Greek word mavro, which literally means black, blackened, or charred. It has been used to describe black for things such as the Magreb Al Aska, which refers to the Black Sea. The Moors have a rich history, though we're never told about this, and I'll tell you why towards the end. The Moors had high civilizations in Egypt, Sumer, Persia, Canaan, Greece, and the ancient Indus Valley. Now remember guys, I'm trying to look at this from all angles, so in my opinion, I do believe at this time, these were a melting pot of mixed cultures. It wasn't just blacks, it wasn't just whites. There are many different opinions when it comes to the original homeland of the Moors. I'm going to give my honest perspective and it might be different than what you may think. In this video, I'm going to show you the connection between the Moors and the Irish, and I'm going to do this using the myths of the Tuatha De Danann. So here's the one question I want you to ask yourself. If white people are albinos, then where did blue and green eyes come from? Where did red hair come from? I don't think it was a mutation, and I don't agree that white people are new on this earth, and I don't agree that white people are aliens. Okay, now the secret to all this mystery is within the ancient god races. The earliest Greek and Roman authors often referred to Hyperboreans and Fomorians. Some modern authors consider these to be possible references to Celts. Hyperboreans were originally a mythical sacred race who were often associated with the god Apollo. They dwelt at the ends of the earth, the word Hyperborean meaning beyond the north wind, and lived long lives in peace with themselves and their neighbors. Their legends are later intermingled with British, Northern Celtic, and Germanic cultures by ancient authors. The name Fomorian has many meanings, but to the earliest ancient Greeks, they were a mysterious race who lived in the mist and darkness at the ends of the earth. But later Greek authors clearly described the movements of a group of people called the Fomorians. The Fomorians were a race of beings that lived underground. I want to clarify before I go any further that this is going to connect with the nature of our cosmology now. These beings belong to different realms. I don't want anyone getting the idea that I'm trying to imply that any race is superior to the other. Okay? So these Hyperboreans were the ancient Irish or the Tuatha De Danann, and the Fomorians are the Fomorian race. The Tuatha De Danann were a godlike race of beings with blonde, red hair, blue-green eyes. The Fomorians were a supernatural race of giants that had mastered psychic abilities and had black skin. I have read many different sites that talk about the history of the Moors, and I've only seen a couple that mention the Fomorians. If it does mention the Fomorians, they end the article implying that black people were the original inhabitants of Ireland, which I disagree. The Fomorians were foreigners, Fomorian meaning from far across the sea. Let me put it in this way, the Fomorians were from Lemuria, and I believe them to be a mix of black and Mongolian. The ancient myth of the Tuatha De Danann is an Irish legend of the Fomorians or the Lemurians coming into Hyperborea or Hibernia. This next part might seem bizarre, but just bear with me. Okay, so when we talk about all this stuff, we're talking about a spiritual reality or existence before material reality had materialized. Material reality gets more and more material as we continue to experience this existence that Saturn created for us. But there was a time, believe it or not, when the physical world was not yet built, you could say. Meaning we lived in a dream reality that was co-created with all the gods. Saturn created the physical realm. Now, different planets or different stars create different races. We have one race, which is white, which is Hyperborea, and it's under the sun, Mercury. Then we have Lemuria, that is actually under the sun, Mars. Okay, so I'm going to explain this in a simple way. I promise I'm going to go more in depth later, but basically, these are spiritual realms. The different planets are like their own suns. Also, forget about the time aspect to this for right now. A lot of people think of this as a linear progression when you're talking about Atlantis, Lemuria, Hyperborea. Ask yourself, what is time? Time is different on the spirit realms. So we've all heard of the flat disk cosmology, and I'm sure many of you have heard of the idea that there being inner and outer lands. But look at it this way. When you get to the border of what we call an ice wall, you are really going to the edge of one realm. These realms are in layers, and I believe they can shift and move about. There's obviously not a lot of research when it comes to Lemuria, but one of the main sources is from Helena Blavatsky. Okay? And I know many of you guys don't agree with her works, but I'm just using whatever research we have and whatever is available. So please send me anything that you have that could shed some more light on this subject. But here's from her book, The Secret Doctrine. Quote, "The third root race was the first race with physical bodies. and they were described as a black race of three-eyed giants who inhabited the lost continent of Lemuria. It is believed that this continent existed where the Indian and Pacific Oceans now are. Modern theosophists identified Lemuria with the actual ancient supercontinent of Gondwana. Also note how in the legends of the Tuatha De Danann, the king Balor has a superpower with his eye. He has 3 eyes. Balor's eyes proved to be the most powerful tool in battle as it had the power to kill all that it beheld. Okay? If he had 3 eyes, this was a time before we lost our pineal glands and magic was very real. So hopefully that gives us a little bit of a better understanding, but for the most part, the way you can see this is a half dream, half physical reality. This ancient war took place in Ireland. The invasion of the Fomorians is what we have left of the tale, but let me tell you something interesting. I don't think it was an invasion, I think it was a collaboration. They may have had wars, but somewhere along the line they mated with one another and exchanged knowledge. Also, remember, these are the god races, not humans like us today. The Tuatha De Danann were giants, and the Fomorians were also of great stature and had 3 eyes. So I speculate that these ancient races procreated and gave us all the different variations that we have today, or what we call races. This is where I want to give my own perspective. It is from my research that the sciences were already developed in Ireland at this time by the Druids. The myths say that the Fomorians had superpowers, not that they were the originators of civilization. Now I don't want this to get controversial, but this is where my research has led me. It's very possible that after these events, this knowledge of the Aryans, Hyperboreans had spread out to all races. So with all that info, I want to add to my understanding of the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians is a cover-up name for the mixed melting pot of peoples that descended from the Hyperboreans and the Cimmerians. Quote, "The Phoenicians were indeed extraordinarily gifted men. They were one of the first races to devise and employ a sophisticated alphabet, construct great cities and temples, make paper for writing, and sail the seas of the world. The fact is, they were the Arya, or adepts of the highest order. They were the master architects, astrologers, shipwrights, mariners, healers, and scientists. We believe the Phoenicians were, like the Scythians, originally from the West. They preserved the secrets of megalithic construction and many other ancient arts." End quote. I do believe the arts and sciences originate with Ireland. We also hear Pindar speaking of Hyperborea as the source for the Danube. Pindar says they live in a place which cannot be reached by ships nor land, but in Olympian odes. We also have to take into account Druidic poetry. I realize what I'm saying that may come off the wrong way, but if you just bear with me, there is truth behind it. Saying all that, one question you may ask is, well, why did they cover up the Phoenicians? Or, you want to ask a better question? Why do the Jews hate black people? If you think that sounds like a wild speculation, you can read the Talmud for yourself. I can tell you why. If you've watched my other videos, you know about the connection between the Jews and the Phoenicians. The Jews are mad because they are a mixed race. They don't have the pure Hyperborean blood. From David Goldenberg's The Curse of Ham, a professor of the University of Pennsylvania not long ago summed up the view. In its depth of anti-blackness, Rabbinic Judaism viewed blacks as the people devoid of ultimate worth and redeeming social value. Yep, the Greeks are mixed, Sicilians are mixed. All the different breeds of the modern humans come from the original mixtures of these god race beings.
So-called black people.
Is this possibly where we get all the different variations of the human form? I want us to work together and search for the deeper truth. We're never going to find it with hating or thinking that one race is better than the other. Yes, my brothers and sisters, we are all made of spirit. Nothing will change that. Let me finish this off with Timaeus. You can see that we've been side by side for thousands of years. In Timaeus, Solon is white, or probably mixed, and the priest of Egypt is a Moor. This is what the priest of Egypt tells Solon. Quote, "As for those genealogies of yours which you just now recounted to us, Solon, they are no better than tales of children. In the first place, you remember a single deluge only, but there were many previous ones. In the next place, you do not know that there formerly dwelt in your land the fairest and noble race of men which ever lived, and that you and your whole city are descended from a small seed or remnant of them which survive. And this was unknown to you, because for many generations the survivors of that destruction died, leaving no written word. For there was a time, Solon, before the great deluge of all, when the cities which now is Athens was first in war, and in every way the best governed of all cities, is said to have performed the noblest deeds, and to have had the fairest constitution of any which tradition tells under the face of heaven. Solon marveled at his words, and earnestly requested the priest to inform him exactly in order about these former citizens. You are welcome to hear about them, Solon, said the priest, both for your own sake and for that of your city, and above all, for the sake of the goddess, who is the common patron and parent and educator of both our cities. She founded your city 1,000 years before ours, receiving from the earth and Hephaestus the seed of your race, and afterwards she found ours, of which the constitution is recorded in our sacred registers to be 8,000 years old." End quote. The common god was Artemis, but it's actually a much older symbol. The common patron and parent educator may have been the androgynous race that I mentioned in other videos, which were the Hyperboreans. The point of this video is to show you that the ancient god races of the Hyperboreans and the Fomorians must have mixed and created the melting pot of cultures that we see today. This is the reason that Black history has been suppressed, because the Greeks, Jews, Romans are upset that their blood is not pure Hyperborean blood. This is the root of racism, the obsession with a pure bloodline. I hope you found this video valuable. It was not my intention to distort this information, but to try and open up the topic for further research. Let's let go of whatever misplaced judgments we have of one another. All that matters is that we ask questions and become more curious. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps with the big puzzle that we know as Tartaria.
Now, as you see right here in the text, it says the Moors were Muslim inhabitants of Islamic Spain or Al-Andalus. The term Moor is a late antique and medieval Western European usage to indicate dark-skinned North Africans or Arabs and or Berbers origins who were responsible for the invasion of Spain in 711. In Latin Middle Ages, Moori referred to a mixture of Berbers or Arabs. So you got this word Moori right here. The Moabites, Moabs, Moors, Mori, Lemuria, all these words reference Moors in ancient times, or dark-skinned people in ancient times. This is before the word black. Now I wanted to reference the word Moro, Moros, the Philippines, the dark-skinned Filipinos. Says here, Moro resistance to Spanish colonial rule. Well before the arrival of the Americas, the Moro people fought to maintain their culture and independence from Spanish colonialism beginning in the early 16th centuries. The Spanish considered the Moros a threat to their Catholic mission in the Philippines and worked to prevent the spread of Islam throughout the archipelago. In fact, the name Moro is a Spanish term for Moors, referencing to the Muslims who ruled the Iberian Peninsula from 711 to 1492. The Spanish expelled the Moors and reclaimed the peninsula during an event called the Spanish Reconquista, or Reconquest. And so there go again, Moros, Moors. These were the dark-skinned Filipino people. They were identified as Moros, the Latin Spanish word for Moors. Then here, the Reconquest of Spain. In 1502, the Spanish crown ordered all Muslims, forcibly converted them to Christianity. And so all Moors or Muslims in the 1500s, all dark-skinned people, were forcibly converted to Christianity. Morisco, it's a noun, it's another name for the people. A Spanish Moor converted into Christianity. And so going back, in 1502, the Spanish crown ordered all Muslims forcibly converted to Christianity. And they caught from Moros, Moors, Moriscos, became the new term for the dark-skinned people that were converted into Christianity, Moriscos. Then you have this from the National Geographics, who were the Moors. If the term Moor seems familiarly but confusing, there's a reason. Though the term can be found throughout literature, art, and historical books, it does not actually describe a specific ethnicity or race. Instead, the concept of Moors has been used to describe, alternatively, the reign of Muslims in Spain, Europeans of African descent, and others for centuries. So then it says, derived from the Latin word morus. There's another word that was used for Moors, morus. The term was originally used to describe Berbers and other people from the ancient Roman province of Mauritania. And so again, derived from the Latin word morus, the term was originally used to describe Berbers and other people from the ancient Roman province of Mauritania, and now what is now North Africa. And so we're going to jump into Mauritania. Mauritania was an ancient kingdom in Northwest Africa encompassing regions of modern-day Morocco and Algeria. Although it shares a name with the modern country of Mauritania, although it shares the name with the modern country Mauritania, they do not overlap ancient Mauritania. Even though they share the same name, they do not overlap. The ancient was named after Maori or Moors, a Berber tribe that inhabited the region. Then, as I said, let's go back before I jump ahead. Right here, it said, over time, it was increasingly applied to Muslims living in Europe. Beginning in the Renaissance, Moor and Blackamoore were also used to describe any person of dark skin. So this term Blackamoore, let's go here, reference 1599 Geneva Bible. I typed in the word Blackmoor. It gave me different references where this term had been used in the 1599 Bible. So you see all throughout Jeremiah and Ezekiel, this term Blackmoor was used. It says, can the Blackmoor change his skin or the leopard his spots? Then you go to the same source, Bible Gateway, King James Version. Only difference is I put in Ethiopian. But the same Jeremiah scripture, they took out Blackmoor and swapped everything with Ethiopian. So can the Ethiopian change his skin or the leopard his spots? See, it's the same. Can the Blackmoor change his skin or the leopard his spots? And so this term Moor or Blackamoore has always been around, or we were always recognized as Moors. Let's continue. The word Mar is in Mauritania. It's what is now known as North Africa. So we just keep going. Marisk. This was the ornaments or decorative motifs in Moorish styles. This is a term for the Moorish clothing or architecture, Moorish art or architecture. The Moorish style, like the mosque that they built, the Marisk. There's another Latin word, Moreno. You have the word Moor right there, Moreno. Its origin is Greek, name root, Amarus, Morus. This name means Moor or dark-skinned. It is the name of the ethnic derived from the Latin Moros. And so again, this word refers to the dark-skinned people, and this is Greek. Greek is older than English. All these different languages, all these different words I'm giving you is from different languages of the term for dark-skinned people who were identified as Moors in today's modern term, M-O-O-R-S. The origin of the English term Moor is the Greek word mavro, which literally means black, blackened, or charred. So I mean, going to the dark-skinned people. But what is a Moor? Many is like claiming to holding on to Africa. So what is a Moor? A North African Berber. Oh, this is from the etymology dictionary as well. Etymology deals with the origin of words. And you see it's capitalized, and it's part of speech, it's a noun, it's a person, a people. North African Berber, one of the race dwelling in Barbary. And so this word Moor came in the late 1500s, 14th century, 1500s, early 1500s. Shemos, or Chemos, depending on which language we used it in. But this is the ancient West Semitic deity, revered by the Moabites. So this is also in the Bible, this word Shemos. All these is Bible scriptures. And so who was this deity? Here go the Bible scriptures. Numbers 21:29. Woe to you, Moab, you have perished, O people of Shemaz. So who is Shemaz? Judges 11:24. Will you not possess whatever Shemaz your God gives you to possess? Kings 11:33. I mean, it's right here. And so the God of the Moabites. Shemaz, the God of the Moabites. So there was more than one God in this Bible. So who is Shemaz? Let's just dig a little deeper. Their god Chemosh was a national god similar to the Israelites and the Hebrew Yahweh, and was the provider of victory in war and protection from enemies. So Chemosh or Chemosh was the national god to the Moabites and was the protector of victory in war, provider of victory in war and protection of the enemies. Okay, I had to look for what I was looking for, but now that I'm there, as I said earlier, when I was going over the definition of Moor, the dark-skinned people, it referred to the inhabitants or descendants of the first civilization of Moor, also known as Lemuria. This map that you see will be a map of what Moor looked like, and it doesn't look like a Lemuria, and it doesn't look like what we were taught of today. And so as you see these maps, these are not the same as today's modern maps. Now, as we're taught that Moors come from Morocco, if you're familiar with the Treaty of Peace and Friendship in 1786, it says here, Morocco acknowledged the United States by signing a treaty of peace and friendship in 1786. Contrary to popular belief of America obtaining its name from Amerigo Vespucci, the Florentine navigator, the ancient name of America was once recognized as Magreb Al Aska, also known as Al-Marak, meaning the extreme west. And so if you look at this map of Lemuria, of Lemur, well, if you look at a modern map like this map that we see today, the far west is where? North America. Let's keep going. The meaning of Magreb Al Aska. It was at this point that Arab General Akbar ibn Nafi named the land we know as Morocco, Magreb Al Aska, sometime Maghreb, meaning the furthest west, and remains his name in Arabic to this day. So the furthest west, the furthest land on the map to the west, or what we call Africa, or just the furthest to the northwest, Americas, North America. Now going back to the Semitic, as it said, that the Moabites were a mix of Semitic and Black. Well, let's get into what the Semitic people look like. Its derivation from the Semitic etymon, or its origin, Marahim, people of the West. So the Semitic people, the Moabites, and all the ancient people that I've discussed in here, the Moors were Muslim inhabitants of Islamic Spain or Andalus. The term Moor is a late, antique, and medieval Western European usage to indicate dark-skinned North Africans or Arabs or Berbers, which I read this earlier. But Marahim, the Semitic etymon origin, Marahim, refers to people of the West, and the term Maghreb meant the West or the place where the sun sets. And Greater Maghreb refers to the further West, while Magreb Al Aska meant the extreme West. And so even this Al Aska, what's that above North America? Alaska? Before we go, I want to touch on a few towns or cities or locations that we had, like Moore, Oklahoma, Morocco, Indiana, and one more other place to show y'all that this name Moor or Moors, the previous names that I gave you, they're all connected to this land that we call North America. And these people know whose land this is. And so we're going to start with Morocco, Indiana, which was established in 1851. So you had Morocco, Indiana. You had Moreland, Georgia, established in 1888. So all these towns were renamed in the 19th century, late 1800s. Moor, Oklahoma, became official in 1893. Just a quick references of, yeah, they know who we are. They know whose land this is. This is why they don't teach you Moorish science or Moorish history in the school books. And a lot of people like to dwell on the negativity about the title Moor or the name Moors, but the name Moor referenced dark-skinned people across the planet, not just in one spot or one area. And so until we meet again, I'll catch you on the next one, family. Peace and love.